Hey everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have an awesome guest. His name is Dr. Tony Smith, and he is the Deputy Superintendent of Schools in Denver, Colorado. And Dr. Smith, thanks for carving out some time with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what was your journey like to become the Deputy Superintendent? You have a ton of people looking up to you for your wisdom and guidance and leadership. What was that journey like?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I am just super blessed to have spent the majority of my career in Denver public schools. I was um, a DPS Title I teacher for small schools and institutions, working with a number of adjudicated youth, working with students who had gotten in trouble. And so I started my teaching career there. From there, I was fortunate enough to meet a number of mentors and people who saw leadership opportunities in me. And I continued to teach while getting my principal licensure from the University of Denver and became an assistant principal at the elementary level, Barnum Elementary to be exact, and then was able to be a assistant principal at Martin Luther King Jr. Early College, and then from there became a principal of Montbello High School, and then came back as a principal of Martin Luther King Jr. Early College. And then I've had the unique opportunity to be all the roles within a school district. So I've been a principal, supervisor, I've been an executive director, I've been a regional superintendent in an external district. I was with KIP, Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth for about 2.5 years as the regional superintendent there. And then had the true blessing to come back to Denver, a place that I love, to be the deputy superintendent under Dr. Alex Marrero. And so just super fortunate to know my district, to understand my context, and to serve in a city that I love. And so, I went to college in Colorado. I graduated high school from Stanley Lake High School in Jefferson County. I got my graduate degrees. I graduated from Adams State College in Southern Colorado. Got my graduate degrees through the University of Denver, and just been really fortunate to call Denver home and to be a part of the school district.
And in addition to all those amazing accomplishments, two of three beautiful things came in your life too in Colorado, right? Your wife and your
Yeah.
two kids.
Oh yeah, I would be remiss to say that my wife and I met while I was teaching,
Mhm.
and she's started out as a teacher as well. And
Hmm.
then we have two beautiful boys. We have Tyson, who is 16, and Evan, who is 13. The beautiful part about my family is, they're my life. Our acronym is Team Smith: Tyson, Evan, Anthony, and Marcy.
Hmm.
Um, and so, their birthdays are coming up. They're born on the same day, exactly 3 years apart, and so pretty soon I'm gonna have a 17 and a 14-year-old. So just excited. My kids are my life. My family is everything to me. And so, the podcast that you're doing now, Born to Shine, really hits home not only as an educator but also as a parent, and something that I really feel is important.
That's beautiful. No, thanks for sharing that. And I love the acronym Team Smith. That's pretty cool. That's
Yep.
awesome. And then, Dr. Smith, when you were a student, anywhere between K and 12, was there anything that you struggled with? Like for me, it was ADD, OCD, anxiety, depression. I had the whole mess. Is there anything that you
Yeah.
struggled with?
Yeah, I grew up in as we talked before the show, I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, and was diagnosed with ADHD. And really struggled to hold my attention. And from an early age, just really couldn't focus and be in the moment. And I think as I learned tools, my parents were really anti-medication, and so they tried to really help me work that out on my own and give me tools and give me resources, the breathing, the calming down. But there
Mm,
are some chemical imbalances that help you really navigate that. And so was able to get that under control in a later age. I think the other part is, when you have ADHD, you have and tend to be disposed to a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry. And I played sports the majority of my life, and I think that led me down a path of severe anxiety and a lot of pressure on myself. And so
mhm.
when that anxiety folds up, I know my coaches would say, "Get out of your head," and I just couldn't get out of my head. Um, at times to be at my peak performance. And that, when you don't perform the way you want, obviously leads you into a time of self-doubt and self-confidence, and which can spiral you into levels of depression. And so I think at points in time, much like many kids, I really struggled with that worthiness factor, that confidence factor. and some bouts of depression. And I think that's a real thing. But I would say even through my adult life, I struggle with anxiety. I think a lot of people just learn how to control it or navigate it, which isn't necessarily healthy. And it's not until my later ages that I really truly understood that there's support for that. And that's why I think it's so important that we give kids tools, that we have resources available, not just for very young students, but as students leave us, as they go to college, and as they become young adults, to navigate the world in a way where they can maintain their mental health through resources, through tools, through just opportunities to talk and understand that, your journey, while unique, isn't isolating, and you have people here who are able to support you, that are able to help you, and that have been in your shoes and are willing to help you.
I love that. Dr. Smith, I'm just gonna say it. That's awesome. Everything you said, I feel like I was almost listening to someone describing me. You and I are cut from the same cloth, both from Chicago, both had ADHD. Um, I really struggle to focus too, and that does start to play on our self-esteem, start to doubting ourselves, could spiral into depression. I played sports too. Coaches are like, Michael, get out of your head. Same thing. And so if you are a student or if you're a parent with a child that's struggling with anything internally, one of the things Dr. Smith said that's so important is to don't isolate yourself. That's something I did. That's a big mistake. And that's when things can spiral and get a lot worse. So try and find an adult you trust, a teacher, maybe your counselor at school, your parent, and just get help. It's cool. There's Tiger Smith, right? Best golfer in the world. He has a coach. Kelly Slater, best surfer in the world, had a coach. Michael Jordan, best basketball player ever, had a coach. So it's the same thing. It's just a coach,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was awesome.
I'd also say, as a parent, um, what I also notice is, these things are in some cases different than we were when we were coming up or younger,
Mhm. Yep.
and they're more ingrained in society. The idea that kids, have social media and a comparison mode the majority
Mhm.
of the time. I have to help my young sons navigate mental health, and they, they're the product of their father, so they have, some elements of ADHD, and they also have some elements of anxiety, and you know the world is a very um it's a very, how do I put it? It's a hard place at times. And so just knowing that you have somebody to talk to, and there's tools and there's resources for you to navigate this world, is super important for me as a parent, and taking advantage of all the things we just talked about, whether it be through teachers, through coaches, through mental health professionals, through your school. Talk to people, right? Talk to individuals, because the worst thing in the world is to suffer in silence. And so I want to make sure that people know. And what I've had to learn is, how do I support my kids when they don't want to talk to me, giving them the tools and resources to really navigate that.
I love it. I love it. Well, your two boys couldn't have a better dad, because you went through it, so you know what it feels like. And so when they come
Yeah.
to you, and so that's beautiful. And what's working well as you're supporting your two sons as they're growing into adult men. What do you notice is working well at your school district, just on a whole?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really proud of Denver Public Schools and the commitment to mental health, and particularly through social emotional learning,
Hmm.
and the time that we're dedicating to students and helping them, navigate mental health challenges, but also trying to teach them the tools before it becomes an issue in their life, being proactive. And so when you think about mental health, Denver Public Schools has a robust SEL department, but in schools, most schools, I would say 99% of our schools have an SEL curriculum that they really work with their students to try to implement during the day, to help them understand that, this isn't an offshoot. This is an everyday part of life. Your mental health is important. And in addition to that, there's levels of severity, and so we have not only psychologists and counselors and social workers at our schools, but we also have partnerships through the communities. I think about National Jewish Services, Denver Health. I think about Hazel Health, and I think about Care Solis. Some of our community partners that help us navigate the mental health space and provide additional resources, or additional opportunities when schools are closed, or whenever a kid needs it. There's that telehealth component. there's an in-person component, there's a school component. And, I would just be remiss if I didn't say we have some pretty amazing educators and leaders in our district that are there for kids and live the value of students first. And so they drop whatever they can to make sure that kids get the resources they need. And so if we don't have it, I've been in many conversations where our outstanding principals go find it and our amazing teachers make time for it. And so we're just so blessed in Denver to have people who care and who love and want the best for our kids and our students. I'd also say the city of Denver has really been a strong partner, and our partnership is growing so that we understand the overlap between the school and the city, and how do we create seamless transitions into mental health support, to SEL supports, and the overall well-being of our children in the city and county of Denver. It's really important, and people are taking it seriously.
That's awesome. Love it. Love it. And then if there are any um, words of wisdom or encouragement, or if you just thought, man, I wish that dude would ask me this. Why didn't Michael ask this question? Like, what's on your heart? What would you, if a parent is watching or a student or even an admin, at a school district, what would you like to share with them?
Yeah, I think there's so much, right? There's only enough time in a day for me to share all the things that I've learned over the course of my career. And, the one thing that I've learned is, how do you change the world?
Mm,
It's one student at a time, it's one interaction at a time. And so when we think about those individuals who are struggling, giving that attention to those individuals and solving those, or supporting individuals with those problems, taking that time means the world.
mm,
I have two boys, and their mental health is extremely important to me. And as a parent, it's one of the most anxiety inducing things that you can go through, is to think your kid is not mentally well.
mm,
And so don't do it by yourself. Use your school, use your community, use the people around you to help you, because we're in this together. We often talk about it takes a village, and it does. But it also takes us reaching out and using our resources. And if you don't have those resources, asking for the help, because people want to help you. People want you to be safe. They want you to be healthy. They want you to thrive. And in Denver, we want kids, adults, and communities to thrive. And so less about, what are the things that you didn't ask me, more about the things I want people to hear, which is, we're here for you. Whenever I can support somebody, I do my best to do it. And it's about those individual interactions. And so hopefully, we have the resources, or can get people the resources for the help that they need, so that they can pass it on, so they can be that blessing and that light for somebody else. And so I really truly believe that we, within the context of ourselves, have the opportunity to change the world into a place that we want it to be. And it starts with just, how are you? How can I help? How can I be of service? And doing that all we can to make sure that our communities, our kids, our schools, our parents, that they thrive.
Dr. Smith, thank you so much. Really appreciate you carving out some time, sharing your heart, sharing your wisdom, and just thanks for doing what you do and helping all the students, like you said, to thrive, and the community to thrive, and that we're all in this together. So thank you for sharing your time.
Absolutely, thank you. And again, I said I appreciate what you do, and I hope you continue this. And again, we are in this fight together. So please let me know how I can be of support.
Yes, sir.